If you have over $1 million saved and you have a pension, today's video is for you because there is a major shift happening in retirement planning today, and it's causing many retirees to completely rethink how they use their money. Because for decades, the goal was simple. You build wealth, you retire, and you leave your money to your kids. But a growing number of retirees are deciding to do something very different. And instead of leaving behind a large inheritance someday, they're giving money to their children and grandchildren while they are still alive. And what they've found is it leads to far more satisfaction in their life while also having a major impact on their family. So today, we're going to walk through why this is becoming such a popular trend among retirees, and then we'll walk through the three most important questions I believe you need to answer before deciding whether gifting money during your lifetime makes sense for you and your family. Because while I've seen this strategy create incredible outcomes for some families, I've also seen situations where it created major problems because it wasn't done with a clear and thoughtful plan. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Ryan. I'm the founder of Denali Financial Group, and we help retirees experience retirement as it was meant to be. And we built a retirement quiz that you can take below. It takes you less than 3 minutes, and it helps you identify any gaps your plan might have. But okay, so let's jump in. So recently, the Wall Street Journal released this article, and it talked all about this growing trend. And the reason this is becoming such a big topic and something I've been talking about with clients for years is because of what we call the great wealth transfer. So over the next couple of decades, experts estimate that tens of trillions of dollars will pass from baby boomers to their children and grandchildren. In fact, it's expected to be the largest transfer of wealth in history. And traditionally, the thought has always been that money would simply pass down through inheritance after someone passes away. But what we're seeing now is many retirees are changing course. Instead of waiting until their kids are in their 60s or 70s to receive a large inheritance, they're choosing to give some of that money while they are still alive, when it can potentially make a bigger impact on things like buying a home, raising a family, paying for college, starting a business, whatever that may be. Now, while I think this can be incredibly powerful for some families, there are also situations where it can be a bad idea, and that's why you have to have a plan. So let's start with the first question. And what I always like to ask is, what is the true impact of this money? What do you want the impact of this money to be? So I always ask clients to think about your own children or think about your grandchildren. When might they need help the most? Or even better, think back on your life. When would money have made the biggest impact for you? And a lot of times what we find is it's somewhere between the age of 25 and 45. That's when people are starting careers, they're starting their families, they're buying their first home, they're having to pay for daycare, or maybe they're trying to build a business. And if we're being honest, a $50,000 or even $100,000 gift at age 35 might have a much bigger impact on someone's life than a larger inheritance would when they're 65 years old and already retired, they're empty nesters. It may just not be as valuable to them at that stage of life. So you have to think, would helping them with a down payment on a house have a bigger impact? Or would helping them with education expenses have a bigger impact? And I recently worked with a couple whose daughter was trying to buy her first home. And when we ran their retirement plan, it showed that they were on track to leave behind several $1,000,000, close to $4 million. And after seeing that, they decided they would rather help with the down payment today than leave behind a slightly larger inheritance 25 years from now. And after this was all taken care of, they gifted this money to their daughter. She got the house she wanted. Afterward, they told me something really interesting. They said seeing the impact in real time was far more rewarding than simply just knowing she would inherit that money someday. Because what many clients eventually realize is that the timing of the gift matters just as much as the amount. And I can assure you that feeling you get helping relieve stress from your family is going to add value to your own retirement as well. But this doesn't just mean go give away all your money. It simply means asking a different question. Instead of asking, How much can I leave behind? The question becomes, when would this money create the biggest impact? So now let's back up a little bit and talk about why this is such a common opportunity for retirees. And if you've watched my videos before, you've probably heard me talk about the good saver tax problem. But there's another side to it, and it's what we call the good saver spending problem. And many retirees have spent the last 30 to 40 years saving. They were disciplined, they avoided lifestyle creep, they maxed out retirements, they did everything right. But because of that, they often have a difficult time switching gears and actually spending more of their money. So even when we run their retirement plan and it clearly shows they'll have millions of dollars left in their 80s and 90s, they still struggle to spend because it's a different skill, it's a different mindset than they've had for the last 30 to 40 years. And so what I always try to emphasize is that spending more money doesn't necessarily mean buying a fancy car or expensive clothing. Sometimes spending more just means helping family, it could be giving to charity, or being intentional about the things that truly bring you joy. And one of the things we talk a lot about with our clients is something we call meant to be moments. These are experiences, opportunities, and memories that make retirement everything it was meant to be. And for some of our clients, that is travel, that's helping their grandchildren, it's helping their children financially, it's giving to charity, or it could be creating family memories while everyone is healthy to enjoy them. So taking big family trips. And these are things we really stress them to be intentional about because we are truly going to build them into their plans. And honestly, I like to do that because I like to hold our clients accountable to actually do that, right? So instead of having someone stick to a budget, I like helping someone stick to a spending or gifting plan. And so this can be important, meant to be moments, however you want to look at that. Goals, ways that you can truly maximize this money can be really powerful and help you feel more comfortable spending and gifting this money. Now, before you click off this video and just start writing checks to your kids, the second question we need to ask is how do we gift the money in an efficient way? Because not all dollars are created equal, and where your money is located can have a dramatic impact on how much actually ends up in your family's hands. And for a lot of retirees, the majority of their money sits inside a retirement account, a tax-deferred retirement account that you still have to pay taxes on. And when you are considering taking money out to gift, you have to factor in taxes for that year, because if your pension and Social Security and any money you already take out of your IRA, if they already have you near the top of the 22% bracket, it may make sense to spread gifts out over multiple years rather than taking one large withdrawal all at once, because you have to think about taxes, but you also have to factor in the impact of IRMA, which in plain English, IRMA is a Medicare surcharge that can occur when your income gets too high. So we want to be intentional about when we take money out and how much we take out each year. Now, the other side of this conversation involves non-retirement accounts, accounts like brokerage accounts. And let's say you've been buying stocks for 20 years and those stocks have appreciated, they've grown significantly. So if you sell them today, you would owe substantial capital gains taxes. So those stocks that have grown a lot over time may not always be the best assets to gift while you're alive. And instead, it makes more sense to pass them on as part of your estate because of something called the step up in basis. And here's the simple version of what step up in basis means. When someone inherits appreciated investments that have grown after death, the cost basis is generally reset to the value on the date of death. That means decades of unrealized gains that your parents or you did not pay taxes on essentially disappear for tax purposes. So let's say someone's mom bought a stock for $10,000 and it's worth $100,000 now. Well, when they pass away, that $10,000 cost basis, what they bought it at, steps up to $100,000. So now when their kids inherit that, they avoid that $90,000 capital gain and their new basis is $100,000. So they could turn around and sell it right away and be done with it, or they could keep growing it, but they won't have as high of gains as they start continuing to invest it. So that can be a significant tax benefit. Sometimes waiting and allowing your heirs to receive that step up in basis can be the smarter move. Now the challenge is balancing the tax benefit against the impact that money could have today. So the conversation isn't just always about taxes. You also still want to be factoring what we talked about earlier, which is the true impact, but you still want to be intentional and thinking about taxes when you are gifting money. All right, now the final question you have to ask is, does this truly work for your plan? And even though I'm a huge advocate of spending more, helping family, being more intentional with your money, you just have to make sure it doesn't jeopardize your own retirement, because your retirement has to come first, always. And the first question we ask is, one, can you afford it? Can your retirement withstand it? So we want to run this in the plan and we want to stress test it. What happens if your healthcare costs increase in the future? What if long-term care becomes necessary? Or what happens if one spouse passes away earlier than expected? Can your plan still handle gifting money and some of those things happening? So we have to answer those questions first, because once you know you are secure, then you can start making intentional decisions about what role gifting should play in your retirement. And I promise you this, your kids will not feel good about you helping them if it's causing problems for you in your own life. So after helping hundreds of retirees, I've found something interesting. The goal usually isn't to die with the largest account balance possible. The goal is to use your money in a way that creates the greatest impact. And for some families, that is leaving behind an inheritance, a legacy. But for others, and for a lot of who I talk to, it's more beneficial helping children, helping grandchildren. And by the way, a lot of times you can do that and still leave behind a pretty strong legacy. So neither answer is wrong, but it is a conversation worth having, because sometimes the greatest gift isn't what your family receives after you're gone. Sometimes it's the memories you help create while you're still here with them. And that's exactly why we created the Meant for More retirement method. It's our planning process designed to help retirees align their money with the things that matter most to them. So if you'd like help determining whether gifting strategies make sense in your own plan, schedule an intro call with me below, or like I said earlier, you can take our retirement readiness quiz, take you less than 3 minutes and helps you identify any gaps your plan might have. So please subscribe to this video. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.